And welcome to my video presentation of the Deviated flight plan. In this scenario, we are finishing up our normal routine flight and we're on the way back home. We get a call from ATC asking us to check out a scene of an accident that's happened nearby to the airport. So here we have a few minutes to decide if we want to do this or not. We have to consider the legal aspects and also safety. And for this, we'll be running through the PAVE checklist. We'll talk about this more. So the legal aspects will refer to Part 91, Subpart 119er of the CFR. We're going to talk about the minimum safe altitudes. Anywhere that an aircraft is flying, it must be able to make a safe landing if there is an engine failure. That is your minimum altitude at all scenarios. However, if you're over a congested area such as cities or towns, you need to be 1,000 feet above the ground and 2,000 feet horizontally away from any aircraft, any building, or any obstructions. And if you're not over a congested area, that altitude drops to 500 feet. We also must consider where the crash has occurred. We want to make sure that we're able to keep that minimum altitude. So let's run through the PAVE checklist. P being the pilot. I am a commercial pilot. I'm legal to fly this aircraft. However, I want to make sure that I have all the information available to me in order to complete this flight. A is the aircraft. We want to make sure we have enough fuel. We want to make sure that the aircraft is in good condition. V is the environment. We want to know where the crash has occurred in case to assess the situation and see if you're able to complete the flight safely, if there's any towers, any buildings, anything that would cause us any stress during the flight. External pressures, that is the biggest factor here. We're trying to help out ATC on their mission of figuring out what is happening. We're trying to help out the local law enforcement. So there's a lot of external pressure that could cloud our judgment. Safety, let's run through the PAVE checklist again. P stands for pilot. How tired am I? I personally have a personal minimum or maximum of 5 hours of flight before I need to take a break. So how long have I been flying? That should be a huge factor. A, we are flying this aircraft over a very congested area. Let's pick Richmond for this scenario. We want to make sure that the aircraft is not going to break down on us or we're not going to have an engine failure as we're doing this low altitude maneuver. V, is the weather favorable? Is our environment safe enough for us to complete this flight? In Richmond, we have a lot of bird activity around the city at low altitude, so you want to make sure there's not a flock of bird around the accident area. External pressures. Again, we talked about how this is the main factor, and we are trying to be productive, but also safe. Execution. So how are we going to do this plan? In order for us to fly over a small area and circle around the accident, we have a good maneuver called turns around the point. This maneuver is a 360 constant radius turn around a single ground-based reference point. For this maneuver, we want to stay above 1,500 ground level, and we want to consider the winds, because the winds will make this maneuver a little bit more difficult, and we have to be on top of it a little bit more. Errors that can be fatal. People don't clear the area. That could be very fatal. Establish a constant and level altitude and trimming the aircraft for that altitude and airspeed. That is a huge mistake. Failure to maintain the altitude, properly assess the wind direction, because that will indicate how hard are you turning. And sometimes that it's not even worth it because you'll be fighting the wind the whole time trying to make circles. So are you even able to assess the situation? And we also need to make sure that we're able to do an emergency landing if need be. So Richmond has the river. Richmond has a few fields to its east, west, and north. However, around the city itself, we don't have a lot of options. Conclusion. So the ground-based maneuvers require planning a high level of vigilance to ensure that the practice and performance of these maneuvers are executed where the safety of a group of people, lifestyle communities, and the pilot is not compromised. So this is something very important to remember before you say yes to ATC. Are you willing to take that risk? Are you willing to put your name on this? And we need to coordinate with law enforcement and also ATC, because there could be other helicopters, aircraft doing the same thing. News helicopters are going to be huge for big accidents. And also, this is a good time to bring up Proverbs 15:22. Plans fail for a lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. In this case, our advisor would be ATC. So let's communicate, let's navigate, and make sure that we can do this flight safely, and it's not wrong to say no. In my case, I would probably say yes if I haven't flown over 5 hours and if I have enough fuel in my fuel tank, depending on where the accident is. If it is downtown Richmond, I'm probably going to say no because I would be useless. There's tall buildings around there and I won't be able to see anything. Thank you very much for listening and have a blessed day.